Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you are tuning into this, welcome in. This is my second time recording this video. The first time I recorded it, it's good, it's fine, but as I was thinking, there's more information that I really want to share. I feel like this is a teachable moment. And, I really want to talk about brand management. And, you hear a lot of people say, oh, they're bad for the brand because of their actions, because of what they're doing, how they look, whatever. They're bad for the brand because of what they're saying and where they're from. They're bad for the brand. And you hear that. You're hearing that more often. But you have a brand too, and you have to manage your brand. And this is what I'm sharing with you is something that I've been sharing with my young adult children since they were young, little. And this is something that I share with my participants in workforce development programs because their brand matters. Your brand is your brand, but when you have a business or when you have a job or a career, your brand is then aligned with that business. So you have to look at the standards of that business. You have to look at how that business is showing up. And are you showing up to really be a good partner with it? Or are you showing up and making it worse? Are they making your brand worse? Are people looking at you like you work for them? That's what you do? And are people looking at them saying about you, is this who you're hiring? These are the type of people that you have working for you? Brand management is so important. And so when we think about ourselves as that brand, who we are personally and professionally is the same thing. Now, back in the day, people would code switch, and some of you probably never heard of the word code switch, but that's when you act one way around your family and friends, and then you act another way when you are in a professional environment. But because of social media and the access to who you are at all times, it's important that both of those, who you are, is the same. Code switching you can no longer do because you'll be found out. It's through pictures, through recorded messages. There's so many ways that people can really find out who you are behind the closed doors. How are you managing your brand? It's disheartening to me when Can y'all hear that? There's something going on. That's brand management. Yelling, speaking irate and out of place outside in public, that's part of your brand. People will start to label you as that one that is always going to jump off, start something. When I think about my brands, I'm very, very particular of who I align myself with. You have to be mindful of who you're aligning yourself with. Do you have more to lose than they do? Because if you have more to lose, a lot of times they'll do things that are irate. They'll do things that, will cause you to lose almost everything. It'll cause you to not get those opportunities. It'll cause you to be put on the back shelf, to never be considered again. So be mindful of those that you surround yourself with. And I'm saying this because people think once a person gets money that they understand all of that they understand the importance of their brand, not just the organization's brand, but their brand too. But a lot of times they don't. And someone needs to sit down with them and let them know, like, you can't be out here very successful, doing your thing, on the verge of making more money than you've ever made, and dealing with someone that's 4 decades your junior. Someone that, may not have the same goals or the values that you have. Someone that could care less, how well or not that you do in your life, because your brand, in many cases, eventually is going to impact your whole family, especially once you start to have children. Because your brand is part of your legacy. Your brand is part of the inheritance that you'll end up leaving to your loved ones. So if you don't protect it, if you don't manage it well, you'll have nothing to give to your future's future. And what would your future self say to you at that point? You weren't a good steward over your brand. Your brand has a lot to do with how you move in life, who you surround yourself with, what you do, what you say, how you carry yourself, your posture, the value that you bring, not only your values that you have, but the value that you bring. So people can have values, and they always say they do. But are they adhering to those values? Because if you say you have values, you say what they are, those are just words. Values are also an action. So if you say you value integrity, do you have integrity? If you value accountability, are you accountable for your actions? If you say you value communication, are you effectively communicating? So when you write down and consider all the values that you say you have, are they truly part of your brand? Are you living up to those values? When my children were young, especially when they were teenagers and would go out and everything, I would always tell them, be mindful of the things that you do when you're out. Make sure that whatever you do, you're comfortable enough, proud enough of it, that you can tell your grandparents. Don't worry about me and your father. I'm talking about your ancestors. Are you going to be able to tell your grandparents? Would you be proud to tell them about the things that you've done? That gives people pause when you think of it like that. We always think, oh, this is just done in the dark. I don't even know nobody here. I'm just going to do this real quick. If it's found out, how proud would you be about doing that? That's your brand. Everything about who you are and your brand, you should be able to stand 10 toes down and have no regrets. Be considerate of others. When we talk about brands, we always think about the business side of it, but we have to know we are that brand too. And unfortunately, there are brands that businesses have, and people that are associated with it are considered the same. And now I'm talking about professional sports and professional athletes. Professional athletes are the elite of the elite, the 1% of the 1%. Do you know how many young children are vying to be professional athletes? How many high school students are vying to be professional athletes? How many college students are vying to be professional athletes? Hell, how many professional athletes are vying to be professional athletes? Yes, we just had the draft for the NFL, and the NBA draft is in a couple of months. Getting drafted it's a hard thing to do, but in the whole scope of it, it's the easiest part, because they still have to make the team. They still have to stay in the league long enough to become vested. They still have to do what they have to do. And yes, athletes are very dedicated. They are very disciplined in working out, eating right, doing the right things for their body, for, their moneymaker, for their skill. They have to be just as disciplined off the field or off the court with protecting their brand and making sure that who they're surrounding themselves with, the things that they do outside of the sport, are aligned with their total brand. Now, I'm not putting them all in the same bucket. I'm not, because I'm married to a retired NFL player who has a great brand. But unfortunately, the brand itself is so big, it's so loud, it's so public, until people, they just don't see those that have that good brand, that personal brand, that's doing the right thing, that has done the right thing. So it's up to us. It's up to the people that know better to share with them the importance of brand management. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't lay down and do what you feel is expected. Oh, you in the league now, so you gonna get all these women. You gonna do all this. What? Would you is that something that you would want to tell your baby boy? Like if you have a child, a baby, a newborn, is that something that you hope that they grow up to do? That will be part of their brand? To have a ton of women and just run amok? There's so much I want to say. But we have to do better. And it's apparent now that it doesn't matter what age you are, people are still making unwise choices that maybe it is part of their brand. So they need to keep it real. And if it is part of their brand, they need to step aside and let someone who has a more palatable brand to get that choice, to get that option, to have that option. Because this is not a game. And in real life, it's a distraction. And all they want to distract us with is what's going wrong, what's going bad in our community. But there's some great things going on. I know many athletes that have their one wife, the wife that they married first and only. That's the mother of their children. They're faithful. They're good stewards over their money. It's funny when they talk about athletes being broke. That's funny to me. People have no idea. Because you just have no idea. Let's just put it that way. It's the perception. And people don't take time to really do their research. And even when you do research, especially if it's on the internet, y'all, there's so much that the internet doesn't know or doesn't share, because there's other ways that you can, put your stuff out there. But they go off of, what their neighbor said, what their friend said, their homeboy, their homegirl, what they know of their neighbor that they saw grow up do. We really need to worry about ourselves and how we're showing up for ourselves, for our families, and for our community. God didn't bless us to be a mess. He really didn't. Our ancestors didn't go through what they did and what they went through. The fact that they lived and survived, we need to honor and be better stewards over our lives and the access that we have. And so many are not. People talk about how they grew up, what they didn't have, the lack, and just the things that were going on around their community. Just because you have money, just because you move out, doesn't mean that your mind has moved out. And it's obvious, because if people are still doing things that are not aligned with what their brand should be, or what they think their brand is, or pretending that their brand is, then maybe they should have never left where they came from. And if they are leaving where they come from, we have to do a better job of preparing them. And it's more than just preparing them with understanding the X's and O's. It's about preparing them for life, changing their mindset, changing their beliefs, changing the dynamics of their future and their future's future. And that's not what's being spoken. That's not what's being shared. And it's easy. It's a conversation. But it's not a one and done conversation. It's a conversation that has many layers, many levels, and it has to be done consistently. Because that type of mind shift, because if you grow up seeing certain things, if you grow up hearing certain things over and over, and money does not change that environment, because you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find your tribe of people that also experience that. So when you go and revert back to doing what you are used to, it's going to be regular. It's going to be okay, because that's what they're doing too. So you got to look around at your tribe. You got to look around at your circle. And what are they expecting of themselves and of you? Because if they're not tapping you on your shoulder, pulling you back, saying, yo, what you doing? And if they are and you're not listening and they only telling you that one time, then you need to change your tribe. But you need to change yourself first. You have to know that you have to. And I'm just tired of it coming because of it starting to hit your pockets. You want to get it before it hits your pocket. That's why we just had that draft. And the elders need to speak to these young men and women going into their new careers. We had the draft. We're having college graduations. We're having a lot of things right now. And people need to be sat down and talked to about the importance of managing their brand. About managing their brand. My husband was very fortunate to have his parents. His father played football in college, did well. He was an executive director. His mother was a teacher. And they talked to him since he was a little boy about the future, protecting the brand, respecting the family's name, respecting them, doing the right thing. Doing the right thing, a lot of people call it corny, but it saves you a lot of time and money. Heartache and embarrassment, shame, not just shame on you, but shame on those you love too. What are you doing? What are we doing? Because we're all in this together. We got to put a stop to it and not accept it anymore. It's becoming weird. It's weird. Let's stop being weird. Let's be the kings and queens that we have always been destined to be, that we come from. Let's be the royalty that we are. Let's be the brilliant people that we are, because that's what we come from. Let's be the resilient, the integred people that we are. Let's be accountable. Let's each of us do the best we can, so collectively we're all great. I'm sure I need to say more, but that's all I have right now. Remember every day to practice. Practice so hard that when you get into play, you will always play to win. But when you practice, don't just consider your body, the physical, also consider that mental. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Leave me a comment and tell me your thoughts. I am Coach Sherry.